Hello, winners. How's everybody out there? The power of saying no without guilt. Has people pleasing caused you to say yes to things that don't align with your purpose, your goals, or your values? How much are those yeses costing you? And so, here tonight, we're going to talk about how those yeses are costing you time, energy, and peace of mind. Today's steak dinner is all about flipping the script so that we can say no to what doesn't move us forward in our goals and our achievements, so that we can say yes to getting the action that creates the traction we want in our personal lives and our professional lives. So, this is all about work life balance from the bedroom to the boardroom. And I am so excited to come tonight and share with you guys everything that I can share within a 1 hour steak dinner to help you grow, thrive, and win in every area of life that you choose to soar in. So, my name is Brenda Underwood, Coach BU, and I'm here to help winners win. And I am so excited tonight to come and share this. I have a passion to see women win from the bedroom to the boardroom. And in doing so, that means that we have got to harness the power of no. So when you begin to look at what we're going to talk about tonight, look, I'm going to tell you guys 100%. There's going to be things you love and there's going to be things you like. What? So, what I want you to do is eat the meat, spit out the bones, and thrive towards your goals. We don't want to just survive, we want to thrive. And we want to do so with a balance that helps our home life be well and helps our personal life be even better, along with that professional life. You know, when we look at our professional life, oftentimes we will struggle with what's going on in our personal lives and take it to work and vice versa. So let's really dig into this and see what all is involved with being able to say no without guilt. So if you are tuning in, please, please, please say hello, drop something in the comments, share with me where you're at, where you're coming from, what city, what state, what's your struggle with creating work-life balance. Now, tonight is a steak dinner. So we want to get our pen, we want to get our paper. You know, red is my favorite color. So you want to get your pen, you want to get your paper, and I am going to try to give you some tools that you can apply right now to begin to create work-life balance. So, first and foremost, let's just get into it and talk about what is causing us to say yes to things that we truly may not want to do. And so when we think about people pleasing, I want you to ask yourself, what exactly causes you to say yes to things that are going to create an imbalance in your schedule? So when we begin to look at the power of saying no without guilt, the part of not without guilt, that part of it has to be an introspective look as to why do I feel guilty when I say no? What is it in me that needs that outside validation? What is it in you that needs someone to approve of you, for you to make them happy at the sacrifice of yourself? So when we look at people pleasing has a lot to do with outside validation. It's funny, when I used to work in corporate, I had a boss that used to tell me, Brenda can say no in 52 different languages. And he was right. I remember sitting in a meeting and saying to him, he asked me to launch another business for him. And I was like, no, we're still trying to perfect the last business we launched for you. We haven't got that one right off of the training rails, and we don't have enough staff to go and launch a whole nother business concept. And so when you are looking at what makes you feel guilty about saying no, get to the heart of that. Get to the honesty of that. Hello, Regina. I'm so glad you're here and you're joining us from LinkedIn. Hello, Daphne. This may be my next door neighbor. I'm not sure. She doesn't have a picture on here, but Daphne's joining us from YouTube. Thank you so much for joining. And I am so excited you're here. She is a good, faithful follower. Thank you so much. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're on IG, please hit a like so that the more you like, the more you comment, and the more you share, more people are going to get to see it. And I really want to help women win from the bedroom to the boardroom. Now, we're not going to get into no sex stuff. I'm not talking about that. What we're talking about is your personal life and your professional life both being strong and thriving. So when we look at the ability to say no without feeling guilt, we have to first ask ourselves, why do we feel guilty when we say no? It's funny. I started to practice. I don't have an issue saying no, but I started to really practice saying no on LinkedIn because I get so many people who want to become a part of my community because they see I have like 5,500 followers on LinkedIn and they want to sell me something, market me something, something to that nature. And I look at each and every one of them, but I already have a full-blown marketing team. I have marketing staff. I have all those things. So I practice saying no on LinkedIn. So if you struggle with saying no, find a place where you can practice saying no so you can get rid of that sting of saying no off your tongue. And so people send me stuff and they'll say, can I enroll you in our free challenge? No. It's a complete sentence. No. You asked me a direct question. I gave you a very direct answer. Now, that feels harsh. So let's deal with the feeling of harsh. How does it feel when you say yes to something that bankrupts your energy, bankrupts your peace, and you're struggling to fulfill that yes? Does that feel harsh on your life? Does that feel harsh on your schedule? Is that harsh to your peace of mind? Then you have to think about the fact that when you say no as a complete sentence, what you're saying is yes to you. Every time you say yes to someone, you need to take an evaluation and evaluate. So your number one first tip is, what is that yes? How is that yes going to impact me? That's the question. How is this yes going to impact me? So your first tool is to pause and reflect. You pause and you ask yourself, okay, if I say yes to planning my sister's baby shower, where do you want that baby shower? Ask questions when people ask you to do something for them. How much time commitment? What do they want from you? What are the details? Where's the location? You want to know all of those things so that you can begin to calculate what that yes is going to cost. Now, that yes can be a benefit. There's yeses out there. Everything has balance, right? Those yeses have a benefit, but you need to make sure it's the right benefit for you. So when we begin to look at our yeses, it's not that we never say yes and we say no all the time, but we want to say yes to things that align with our priorities, our goals, and our values. Those are the things you say yes, things that move the needle forward in your goal achievement. And so for me, one of the things that I like to filter my yeses through is my God vision. We all think that the vision that we have, we're trying to convince God that this is our vision. And God, please help me bring this dream to life. Help me bring this vision to life. Help me prosper in this area. Let me give you a clue, beloved. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19 says that money is the answer to everything. So if you're struggling financially, it is God's will for you to prosper. No, it's not. Are you one of those prosperity gospel people? Okay, as opposed to what? Poverty gospel? Because the last time I checked in Deuteronomy, poverty was a curse and abundance was a blessing. And abundance is what Christ died for you to walk in. So why would I resist abundance, especially when abundance helps me be abundantly generous with other people? I can't help feed the homeless if I can't feed my own household. Now, I want to couple Ecclesiastes along with Deuteronomy 8:18, remember the Lord thy God who gives you the ability to produce wealth and so confirms his covenant to your forefathers as it is today. So yes, we're going to say yes at times, but everything needs balance. Anything that's too far to the right or too far to the left is going to create chaos in your life. If all you do is spend all your time with your family and you don't never spend any time going to work, you don't never spend any time looking for a job, and you never spend any time making yourself available to meet a mate, how do you ever accomplish those things? Sometimes you're going to need to say no to family so that you can say yes to life outside of family, right? And so it's all about your priorities. You know, when you look at the power of no, I tell people all the time, and I picked this up from someone along the way. In order to say yes to the God things, the things that God put on your plate, you're going to have to say no to some good things. There's going to be some good things out there for you to get involved with. But does that align with your life vision, with your God goals? Because if you're a believer, then you are trying to align your life with keeping in step with the Holy Spirit. In doing so, that means that you're going to have to say no to some very good stuff so you can say yes to some phenomenal things. Right now, I have one of my clients. She is a very kind heart and she's a big people pleaser, and she's texting me every day something to help her rewire your brain. Would you like to know how long it takes to rewire your brain? Type in a yes if you would. And one of the things that we're doing to rewire her brain is have her text me each day, I am worthy of letting people down in order to show up for me. People pleasing is rooted in a lack of self esteem in some way, some form, some fashion. As you build your self worth, then you build your ability to say no to people where it doesn't make sense for your life. If it's going to cause me to be unbalanced and I'm going to be chaotic and all over the place, is that beneficial for you and your goals? And so now there's a 20-second, I believe, delay where when I ask a question before you guys hear it and you guys actually are able to respond to it. And so I asked the question, how many of you guys would like to know how to rewire your brain? I'm so glad you said yes, Alberto. Hey, Alberto, he is a prospect of mine. I've been trying to close him. I hope all is well with you, Alberto. Now, if you want to begin to rewire your brain, rewiring your brain requires one very consistent thing, and that's consistency. You need to do it repetitively over a period of 63 days, 21 days to uproot the old belief. So if you've always believed that I'm a procrastinator, I'm just a procrastinator, I just procrastinate. If you have procrastinator brain, then what procrastinator brain says, you will say yes to so many things that you create an overwhelm in your schedule. Now, some people are very easily overwhelmed, and some people are not. Like today, I started to feel a little overwhelmed. Hey, Nadia, I'm so excited you're here. Today, I started to feel a little overwhelmed because someone very close to me is going through a whole lot. Actually, multiple people who are very close to me are going through a whole lot of stuff, as well as I've just recently lost a very dear family member. And so I was beginning to feel overwhelmed. And let me tell you what I did immediately. My brain clicked in immediately and said, no, we don't do overwhelm. What's the next step to move forward for the priorities of today? You can't fix the priorities of tomorrow, but you can fix the priorities of the day. So what is it? What's the next step forward? So when you begin to rewire your brain, you need to make a 63-day commitment to the rewiring of whatever you're trying to change your thought patterns in. And that means you need to talk to yourself. Sometimes we need to say no to ourselves. Like I said, no, Brenda, you are not going to go over to Marlowe's and kick your feet up at the bar at Marlowe's. And not that I drink, that's where single people sit. And have lunch. You're not going to do that. You're going to eat that box lunch that's in the freezer, and you are going to sit down and you're going to stay focused on the task at hand, because when you have a lot to do, you must be organized. The more you have to do, the more organized you need to be. Can someone pop that in the chat for me? The more you must do, the more you have to do, the more organized you need to be. So let's get back to the rewiring of the brain. 63 days of doing something consistently. Consistency is the key to reprogramming your subconscious mind. So, consistently, maybe like for me right now, I'm trying to get my upper body strength. So, I consistently go into my son's weight room, which is literally next door to my bedroom, and I hang for 30 seconds to a minute on the bar, so that I can begin to do pull-ups, so I can get some upper body strength. Doing that consistently begins to rewire my brain for exercise. It begins to rewire my brain for conditioning my body so I can show up for me. And so when we begin to look at really being consistent, we first have to decide, what is the one thing I want to rewire in my brain? And consistently move towards that thing, whatever that habit is. The brain takes a matter of 90 days to completely rewire. So there's great books out there. One of the books is Who Switched Off My Brain by Dr. Caroline Leaf. One of the people I follow is Dr. Bruce Lipton. When he talks about rewiring your brain, he believes and he teaches from a scientific standpoint, not a religious standpoint. But from a scientific standpoint, he teaches that your brain literally creates matter. So if you want to rewire your brain, you need to do something consistently for 63 days. 21 days, you're going to root up the old belief. 21 days, you're going to be seeding the new belief. And then 21 days, you're going to be rooting the new belief. And the deeper the root, the less likely the old belief or behavior or habit will come back. Okay. That's science, y'all. So I don't move against science. I move with science, because God knows how he created our body. That's why he tells us to meditate on his word both day and night. Why? Because the subconscious mind is most impressionable. The subconscious mind is most impressionable 20 minutes, the first 20 minutes when you wake up, and the last 5 minutes before you go to sleep. So you want to make sure during those two time frames, you are wiring your brain with the beliefs and the thoughts that you want to create in your life. Okay. So that's how you rewire the brain. Okay. And so let's see what we got going on here in the comments. Anne says, the more you have to do, the more organized you have to be. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that means you have to say no to some things, right? You have to say no to going to hang out sometimes so you can stay home and actually get your stuff organized, to actually have a place for everything and everything in its place. That's how you can move with swiftness. So Alberto says the same thing. The more you have to do, the more organized you need to be. I'm going to tell you, organization is your friend when you're looking at getting large goals achieved, right? Because at the end of the day, when you spend 15 to 20 minutes looking for a piece of paper or looking for an email, how much has that cost you? And if you do that daily, how many times is that going to siphon time that you could be using to actually create and actually innovate? So let me tell you my definition for innovation. My definition for innovation is creativity implemented. We all have great ideas, but until it's implemented, no one else gets to experience that great idea. So we want to make time for us to do the things that satisfy our souls, that move us forward, that move our families forward, that creates the financial abundance that Jesus died for you to have. Let me ask you this. Why do we think that God wants us broke, busted, and disgusted? He does not. He wants, if you were rich, if you were a billionaire, would you allow your kids to live on Skid Row? Would you allow your kids to eat out of garbage cans if you were wealthy? Then what makes you think God wants you broke, busted, and disgusted? If you are struggling with money, money is not God's problem. It's your mentality problem. Shift your thermostat. And if you want a great tool to shift your thermostat, I need you to DM me, text me, email me, money mindset. And I'm going to send you a life sheet that I use with my paying clients to help them shift the thermostat of their money. Because that thermostat that you set your money at may be struggling, may be poverty, it may be six figures, it may be eight figures, it may be five figures. And if you're trying to shift from a business that just started to a six-figure business, you're going to have to shift your mindset, right? That means you're going to have to say, no, we're not going to max out our credit cards. The power of no. It's a complete sentence. No, we are not going to overextend our paychecks. We're not going to live luxury on credit. We're going to live luxury on cash flow. There are certain no's that you're going to need to tell yourself in order to shift your money mindset. So when we're looking at the power of no, we have to understand there's a promised land that God wants all of us to walk in. And when I say all, I mean Jesus died for everyone to be saved and live abundantly. So here's another book that I love this book, and it's out of print. Actually, both of the books that I'm recommending are out of print, so you're going to have to probably buy them used. But this is a good book, and it's called God Wants You Rich, Not Poor and Struggling. And this literally debunks the religiosity that we have learned in church about how it is humble to be poor. It's humble to be broke. That is not Bible. I need you to go read Deuteronomy. Is it Deuteronomy? Deuteronomy 28, where he talks about the blessings and the curses. It is not of God for you to be broke, busted, and disgusted. God wants you to live a life and live it abundantly so that you can live a generous life. So let's get our mind right. This is the other book I recommended to you, Who Switched Off My Brain, by Dr. Caroline Leaf. This is a phenomenal book. I have used this book on myself and on many others to help me shift my mindset from a poverty to a prosperity mindset so that I would begin to take risk, because I was very risk averse. Anybody else out there very risk averse? Like, you don't want to risk. I'm one of those people. I don't gamble. I don't go to Las Vegas and gamble. I'm a gamble about $25. And after that, if I didn't win the lotto, then it ain't going to happen. I'm not messed up about it, because who do I trust for my wealth? I trust God. And so when we begin to look at the power of saying no, no sometimes starts with us, but no definitely is going to be outside of us as well. Whenever you have conflict, inside or outside, it is going to be an unmet expectation. So if you adjust your expectations, then you reduce your conflict. Now, that's a lie for another day. I'm not going to get all into that. But I also like to share with you guys the power of saying no as a complete sentence without over explaining. What is it on the inside of us that makes us feel like I need to tell you my whole schedule as to why I'm telling you no? Why do we feel like we owe people that? I had one of my clients ask me to do something for him, and I said, no, I won't be able to do that, but I will show you how to do it, because I wanted him to own the process. If I do it for you, then you have to keep coming to me to do it for you. But if I show you how to do it, then I empower you. I like to empower people. I don't like to enable people. Because when you enable people, then people become dependent on you. And if you need people to be dependent on you, dig into your self-worth, baby girl. That's a self-worth issue where you need to be everybody's guru. You need to be the fixer for everyone. Don't be an enabler. Be an empowerer. Empower people to get the answers they need for their own lives. Because what works for one relationship, I guarantee you, does not work for the next relationship. I got a friend of mine who her husband lives in a whole nother state than she lives in. No, ma'am. Pam, when I get married, I want to lay next to my husband every night. I want to be in his world. Now we ain't got to be up under each other, because I ain't that kind of girl. But I do want to sleep with my husband every night. I want to sleep in the same bed with my husband in the same state. Right? But it works perfect for her marriage. I know her and her husband, and it works well for them. would not work well for me. I told one of my prayer partners about it, and she said, "Girl, if I'm not, my husband is not living in another state. I done waited all these years to get married. I want to see my husband every night, right?" So what works for one life doesn't work for the other, and that's why I said you have to eat the meat and spit out the bones. What works for you? And so when you begin to look at what works for you, you also need to sift your nose through the purpose filter. Can someone type that in for me? Shift your nose through the purpose filter. The purpose filter means that before you answer, it kind of piggybacks on the stop and reflect. Count the cost before you say yes, right? Not saying you never say yes, just count the cost before you say yes. The purpose filter is when you are crystal clear on what your purpose is, what God put you on the face of this earth to do, and how you're going to fulfill it, then that begins to dictate the things you say yes and no to. Now, I'm a phenomenal contract negotiator. You can thank Unisource Worldwide for that. Every 30 days, every quarter, I had to go out and be trained on how to negotiate with vendors like Reynolds and Mobile and Union 76 and Shanklin, huge vendors. And I had to negotiate with them for the $250,000 equipment that I used to merchandise when I worked at Unisource. So I'm a phenomenal negotiator. And I think in one of my lives, I talked about how to negotiate your salaries and negotiate your raises. And so one of my family members knows that I'm a really good negotiator. And she came to me for her daughter to negotiate a contract with Bravo. I have a couple of celebrities in my bloodline. And this particular young lady, she wanted me to negotiate her contract. And I was like, sorry. And she's like, "Brenda, this is a 6-figure payout. I mean, if I get this Bravo contract, if I get this, then, she's like, cousin, you going to get paid." But since money's not my driver, I use money. Money doesn't use me. Or how does money use you? When you exchange hours for dollars, you are exchanging time for money. Money's using you. I like to make my money make money for me. That's why I'm into multiple businesses. I like cash flow businesses with low labor costs because those are the most profitable businesses, right? And so I told her, I said, "Cuz I can't do it." Why? Because it doesn't fit my purpose. I had just launched my coaching business. I just left corporate. I did not need the distraction. Now, people's like, "But that was 6 figures, Brenda. That was a 6-figure payday." Look, all money ain't good money, baby girl. And if you ever play dominoes with me, we call them bones in the hood. Over in Los Angeles, we be slapping them bones on them tables, right? And you will learn real quick in playing dominoes, especially with me. All money ain't good money. I'll set you up I'll give you 15 so I can take 25 from you on that dominoes table. How many of you guys out there play dominoes? So with that being said, when you have your purpose filter, you are better able to say yes to the things that are going to get you traction and no to the things that are not. Well, Brenda, is everything all about you? No, it's not all about me. My whole life is spent helping others live their dreams, empowering other people to live their life dreams. But I can't do that if I'm off doing things that God never called me to do. So we have to learn how to say no to good things so that we can say yes to God things. So when you get ready to look at the purpose filter, you want to say, if I say yes to this, how does this align with my life mission and my life purpose? Okay. The other thing is, if you're struggling with reframing your no, here's a great way to reframe your no. Me, I have no problems. I'll just say no. No, I'm not doing that. Hey, my girl Dawn, she's here. Shift your nose through the purpose filter. Yes, thank you for putting that in there. Thank you, Alberto, for sharing. Shift your nose through the purpose filter. Yes, when you know your purpose in life, there's certain things that you can't do, and there's certain things that you need to do. And then there's certain things you want to do, okay? So when we look at reframing the guilt and saying no, that lands a little bit better. Not over explaining. I don't tell people. God delivered me from over explaining to people about why I couldn't do stuff a long time ago. So, and I'm going to give you some tips on that. But first, let's talk about sandwiching your no. So, when someone asks you to do something and you've asked the questions to figure out, yeah, I'm not driving to Madonna, which is an hour and a half away from me, to plan my sister's baby shower, which she is kind of a Cinderella. So that means that that's going to be a lot of involvement to do her baby shower. What I will do is XYZ for her. Right. So the way you sandwich that no is, thank you so much for thinking of me. Thank you so much for trusting me with your baby shower. No, I'm not going to be able to plan the entire event. But what I can do for you is connect you with a great event planner. What I can do is empower you with how I do events, and you could get one of your other girlfriends to do it for you, or maybe you can get one of our other siblings to do your baby shower that lives a little bit closer to you. Okay. That is one way you can sandwich a no. You give them options that empower them to still get what they wanted to get done without burdening your schedule or your timeline or your goals. So if I have to drive to McDonough an hour and a half one way and an hour and a half back 3 or 4 times in a week, that's going to tank my schedule. That means that I'm not going to show up well for my clients. I'm not going to show up well for the side businesses that I currently am managing. That's going to be problematic for me. So I still want them to have a great baby shower, but I don't have to do it. I want someone to type this in the chat. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. Just because I can does not mean I should. So when we begin to look at where we're at and the many, many different things that we do, we have to ask ourselves, am I doing it just because I can do it? There's a lot of things I can do. I can get up under that Yukon and change the tires and the oil. But you think I'm going to do that? These fingers wasn't made for mechanical work. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. And so you really want to stop and think, what are your yeses costing you? Anchor your no's with empowerment. Anchor your no's with empower. You still want to help your friends get what they need to get done. It just doesn't mean that you have to do it for them. And so thank you so much, Dawn, for putting this in the chat for me. Just because you can doesn't mean I should. Absolutely. Absolutely. I had to learn that in corporate because I've worked 18 jobs over 13 industries. So I have a lot of experience in a lot of different industries. And my old boss, which I just have to tell you, he and I got an opportunity to talk after a long time. And I am so excited that after 9 years, we got a chance to sit down and break bread. And he's taught me so much. But he is a visionary and I'm an implementer. So him being a visionary, me being an implementer, he pulled on all my experience. Oh, you got experience in this too, Brenda? Okay, let's see. Can we do a business around that? Da, 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 da. Great. He is a successful entrepreneur because of that. And he has other great implementers around him because of that. But this is the thing, beloved. If you say yes to everything, then you're saying no to the God things. And you're worth saying yes to. And when we begin to look at not knowing our purpose, or not knowing what we are put on the face of this earth to do, has a lot to do with us casting off restraints. When we don't know why God put us here, then what we will do is we'll say yes to everything. But scripture's crystal clear that my people my people cast off restraint for lack of vision. Get a vision for your life. And if you struggle with that vision for your life, then schedule a clarity call with me. That is one clarity call that will allow you to get a 90-minute focused one-on-one coaching session where we get crystal clear clarity on one very specific goal, and you walk away not with a great conversation, but you walk away with a blueprint. You walk away with a blueprint on how to accomplish that goal. 4 big rocks on how you move the needle forward to accomplish that goal. I also, coming out this month, is our Spring Forward program. And our Spring Forward program is a one-on-one coaching program as well. It's only 5 sessions, and we call this a starter session, starter program, because most of my programs are anywhere from 60 to 90 days. But this is just 5 coaching sessions over 5 weeks to help you spring forward in goal achievement. And that's a more budget friendly program. The one-on-one coaching session, the clarity session, is definitely a budget friendly program, but both of those will get you ignited in moving forward. So if you need to discover what am I here for, how do I get my goals, then schedule a discovery call with me so we can get together and do a one-on-one coaching session so that we can help you move forward and spring forward into goal achievement. So when we look at no is a complete sentence, let's look at some things that we've talked about here. We want to set our priorities. We want to know why we do what we do. We want to be crystal clear that no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anybody, but maybe your husband, the wherewithal of why you're doing what you're doing or why you're not doing it. Okay. But you don't have to explain yourself to everyone. And if you do feel like you need to explain yourself to everyone, then I need you to ask yourself, why do I feel guilty saying no? What is it that is in me that feels like I have to set myself on fire or set my calendar on fire to make someone else happy? Because in Galatians chapter 1, verse 10, it says, if I'm pleasing man, I'm not pleasing God. And if I'm pleasing God, I'm not going to please man. There's going to be some things that God have called you to do, that God gave a vision to you for your home, your family, your kids, that is not going to make sense to your mama, daddy, cousin, sister, brother. Just real talk, y'all. Some of you guys are in bondage because you can't break free from the latch of your family telling you what you need to be doing, right? Sometimes what they're telling you is great, but if grandma never ran a business, you coming to her with a business idea for a side hustle is going to sound like foolishness to her because of the generation and the time that she grew up in. Doesn't make grandma wrong, doesn't make grandma right, but it means that it's not right for you. What did God tell you? Well, Brenda, how do I know if I've heard the voice of God? If you want to know how to hear the voice of God, slap something in the chat for me. And I'll share a scripture for you that will give you 8 points on how to hear the voice of God. So let's talk about the power of saying no. Set clear priorities. No is a complete sentence. Don't justify your no. You saying no, like I told someone no the other day. Somebody asked me, I forget what it was. Somebody asked, okay. Somebody asked me to go hang out. And I was like, I really got a lot on my calendar. That's what I'm thinking to myself. I didn't say it to them. I said, hey, sweetie, I would love to come and go roller skating with you guys, but I've already got a previous commitment. Done. And I would have loved to go roller skating with her. And I did have a previous commitment. It was preparing for this live. I'm telling you guys, when I say I prepare for these lives, I mean, I got notes on top of notes on top of notes, because I want you to walk away from these steak dinners on Tuesday nights at 7:30. I want you to walk away with good stuff that you can apply, that you can see the needle move forward. I do not want to come in here and waste your time with a lot of great conversations about how I live my life. No, I want to equip you and empower you with the tools to win. This life is too short to be out here scrapping for dollars. Let's work smart, not hard. Let's create balance, not chaos. If your life is chaotic, it's because you haven't used your no. Sometimes you need to tell you no. If you're overweight, you ain't told yourself, put that fork down. Move your booty, make better food choices. You need to sometimes tell you no. I tell me no all the time, especially when I get mad. It'd be like, no, we're not going to cuss people out anymore. That is not good for your witness. That's not good for your testimony, Brenda. Okay. So when we begin to look at no, going through setting boundaries, no is a complete sentence. And it does feel harsh when you say no. I gotta tell you a funny story. Okay. So a gentleman that I had been dating for a long, long time, we stopped dating. Actually, now I realize it's been almost a year and a half that I have not been dating him. And he was a dear gentleman of mine. He'd been in my life for some 23 years. And when I started, he had done some stuff that kind of ticked me off, and I had always been accommodating to him. If he called me, we could go out. He never called me last minute kind of stuff. Sometimes we were spontaneous, but not always. But when he started doing stuff that I felt was disrespectful, he'd say, "Hey, you want to go hang out?" Blah blah blah. I would just text back, "No." And he's the first time I did it, he texted back question mark, "Is this Brenda?" And I said, "Yes, this is Brenda. No." And he said, "In 23 years, you ain't never just told me no. Now, you have not done some things that I wanted you to do, but you ain't never told me no." He's like, "Can you talk?" I said, "No," because I knew he's going to try to talk me out of it. He's very charming. Good looking and charming, bad combination when you're trying to say no. And so, nonetheless, he called me like a couple of days later. He's like, "Brand," and there's only few people in this world that call me Brand. And he said, "Brand, what's up with the no?" I said, "Remember when we went out to Callaway Gardens and then you invited some other women to come to our table and sit with us? And you kind of tried to cloak it underneath, oh, you was calling the girls to the table for your boys." But I saw that woman's face when she turned that corner and she saw me sitting next to you. She was like, "Oh, like I didn't know he had a woman." I said, "Yeah, you ain't gonna quietly disrespect me like that." I said, "I'm not that chick. I don't care what you do when you're not with me. But when you with me, you show me respect. Because if you don't, you won't get another opportunity to spend time with me. I may have some issues, but low self-esteem ain't one of them. I know what I bring to the table." And so I had no problem telling him no. He was like, "Brand, it wasn't like that. And and I said, look, bruh, I've been dealing with you for 23 years. I know how you roll. You good looking, got that good hair, you light complected, can't barely tell that you're black. These women love you. You got on smell good, good watch, all that. I know women be hollering. I ain't mad. I'm not mad because I'm confident that what I bring to the table, they can't. But what you're not going to do is treat me any kind of way." So the answer is no. So he heard no from me. This is shortly before we just totally stopped dealing. He heard no from me like 4 or 5 times. And it felt good. And guess what? He stepped his game up. The next time he took me out, he acted like he had some good sense. His eyes wasn't roaming all over the place. He acted like he had some respect for me. Sometimes you need to say no as a form of self-respect. It's not to be mean, but when what you are serving is not respect and love, then I've got to get up from the table, baby boy. I have to get up from the table. And no is a complete sentence. Now, I have another friend of mine. She's real close to me and she's real sensitive. When I tell her no, I say it a little bit more gently. I sandwich it. "Thank you so much for thinking of me. I would love to come. However, I already have a prior commitment." Or, "No, I will not be able to make that happen." And she turns around and she's like, "Okay, not a problem. I'll see if I can get da 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 da." I said, "But I got about 15, 20 minutes. I can strategize with you on how you can get your event filled up or whatever. I will empower people, but I'm not going to always give people all of my time. There's very few people who get my time. Like, for instance, my phone stays on do not disturb until 12 o'clock. Why? Because I need to show up with me and God and my priorities first. I say yes to my priorities first. And so this is another tool that I'm going to give you in the power of saying no. When you block off your priorities in the first part of your day, you get your stuff done, then you leave room for spontaneous yeses. Remember, this is work-life balance. We want balance, right? You knock out what you got to do in the first part of your day. Then if someone pops up and says, "Hey, you know what? I got 2 tickets to a concert. You want to go see Toby Mac? When? Tonight, because my girlfriend got called in to work. She's a nurse. She can't go. I got a ticket. Well, now I've gotten my priorities out of the way. I've got what needed to be done early in the day. So at night, I can say, okay, do I want to go home and watch TV and chill, or do I want to go to the Toby Mac concert that's right next door to my building? Because my building is right next door to the Gas South Arena. Honey, let me know, and I'll be right over there. Matter of fact, you ain't even got to pay for parking over there at the arena. You can come park over here at my office, and we can walk over there because that's how close the arena is to my office. Then you open yourself up for spontaneous stuff. I am very spontaneous. I like surprises. Okay. So I need to create a schedule that makes room for interruptions. Now, can I go to church with you? And you know what? Alberto didn't say yes, ma'am, to this, but I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna take y'all to church for a moment, because I want you to think about in the Bible how many times the interruptions of God created a miraculous event. The woman with the issue of blood was an interruption, and she got healed from an illness she had for 18 years just by touching the hem of his garment. Make room for the interruptions, but don't let the interruptions be slave to your, don't let your priorities be slave to the interruptions. Okay. When we begin to look at walking in the promises of God for our lives, we have to understand walking in the promises of God for our lives is all about a God promise. The promised land is a God promise. You can't get into the promised land of shalom and peace and prosperity without God. And I'm talking about capital G, capital O, capital D. The God factor. When you look at the God factor in your life, the God factor is going to be, and I'm going to type this in. I don't know where this is going to show up, because I'm going live on 5 different platforms, but we're going to talk about the God factor. Did I spell that right? Okay. We're going to talk about the God factor. The God factor is something that you cannot predetermine how it's going to flow. But this is the thing: when you weave God into everything you do, when you weave God into your work, when you weave God into your business, when you weave God into your parenting, you weave God into your finances, you weave God into your friendships, you weave God into your fitness, and God is weaved into everything, then you get a God factor that brings about a multiplication in achievement that you cannot calculate. The God factor. You know, someone paid me the biggest compliment the other day. He said to me, he said, your spirituality is very gravitating towards me. He's like, anything you hear or do from any other religion, because I do. I talk to Buddhists, I talk to atheists, I talk to agnostics. I don't care. If you're breathing, God made you, and I love you. Right? And God gave you the free will to choose a different religion besides Christianity. That's not my place to judge. That's between you and the Lord, right? So he said to me, nothing shakes your faith. And he said, you are so successful. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I don't feel successful. Can I be honest? Can I have an honest moment with y'all? I don't always feel successful. Yes, I have what a lot of people are praying for, and I don't take that for granted, and I'm very grateful for what God has done. But this is the thing: I know what God planted in me. The first business God gave me was so scary. I was like, God, I'm gonna need to be a multi-millionaire to bring that business to life. It is literally building a facility that is a specialty architectural layout, and it would have to have almost 1,000 employees to run that one business dream. And because I was a baby in faith, I didn't have God factored into everything in my life. And so I was like, God, I can't do that. That's too big. just a year ago, God showed me how he had already put, and I'm about to cry. Hold on. He had already put people in my life that can help fulfill that dream. And I didn't even realize those people were there. That's the God factor. I had been cultivating relationships with some of these people for years, not even knowing that God, the God factor, he placed them in my life for the dream that he has for my life, that he's trying to get me to catch with my heart of faith. And it blew my mind. I'm gonna share one of them. God brought many of you guys don't know, but you're about to know now. I want to go to school, go back to college and become a naturopathic doctor. And God brought, and I want to have a medicinal tea line. And so God brought into my life a person, God brought into my life a person who is a master herbalist. When I went to their facility and saw all the herbs and all the stuff, and they started breaking down how they do these herbs and this, that, and the other, I just started to cry. And they looked at me like, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" And I'm like, that person had no idea that that's what I wanted to do. And when I tell you the God factor is so powerful, if you will just keep taking obedient steps of integrity and honesty, God will walk you straight into your promised land. And I have such a burden for this, because when people say, "Brenda, you're successful," the key to my success has been saying no. No to good things so that I can say yes to God things. And when we begin to realize the power of our no, the power of your no is to buy back your time, buy back your peace, to not overextend yourself. It is to protect your time so that you can protect your peace. No is required for success. I remember Steve Jobs, and I'm going to butcher this quote because I meant to look it up beforehand, and life was doing what life does. But Steve Jobs said that you have to love what you're doing, and you have to learn to be okay with saying no to a lot of good things so that you can say yes to a lot of great things. Now, I don't know if Steve Jobs was a believer or not, but that so resonated with me, because for years I have said you need to be able to say no to good things so you can say yes to God things. Because if you don't protect your time, you will not protect your peace. I mean, how many of you guys have, and be honest, how many of you guys have said yes to, let me not interrupt. How many of you guys have said yes to something, and when you're processing and doing it, you mad at yourself like, "I don't know why I told her I was gonna do this wedding cake for her when I know I got 3 other birthday parties, and you just mad, just frustrated, just Or you said you was gonna go pick somebody up from the airport at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you know you ain't a morning person." I tell people, girl, you better get friends with Uber, because I ain't coming to pick you up 6 o'clock in the morning. Now I may come pick you up at noon, but I won't pick you up at 6 o'clock in the morning from the airport. But you said yes because you're people pleasing, right? Because you're trying to feed that validation on the inside of you that you need outside validation from other people. So you're saying yes, even when you want to say no, because you just want people to like you. First, fall in love with yourself, and you will lose the need to be validated by outside people. But with that being said, you're mad driving down in Atlanta traffic, trying to pick somebody up, or early in the morning. Why do you do that to yourself? I promise you, if you tell certain people yes and no, and they truly love you, I promise you, people who truly love you will respect your boundaries. People who truly respect you will not push up against your boundaries. People who want to mistreat you and use you will not respect your boundaries. They will consistently push up against your boundaries. They will consistently challenge your no's until you give them all the yeses they want. They're called users. And this is what I tell people. I only have generous people in my circle because I'm a giver. You call me with a problem, I'm going to help try to do my best to empower you to solve it. I'm not going to enable you, but I will empower you to solve it. I had to learn early on, since takers have no limits, I need to surround myself with generous people, the type of people where we fight over who going to pay the bill. Yeah, I got to do that because takers have no limits. So be careful who you have around you. Everybody isn't for you. Some people are just for taking from you. I had to tell my male friend recently, I said, why don't you just ask me for what you want? He said, I don't want to take nothing from you, Brenda. And he's very careful. He's like, he wants to make sure I never feel used by him. So I literally have to force help on him. Like, I'm right now strategizing on how I'm going to help him solve a problem and not even let him know that I'm helping him solve it, because he is so adamant about being generous to me and not taking from me. Now, that's a man of honor right there. That's a man of honor. And so let's go to these chats and see what's over here. Okay. So I must have said something to Teresa. Teresa, she is one of my certified life coaches. If you get with Teresa, you're going to get a breakthrough for life and not a band-aid for now. She helps moms do entrepreneurship. So connect with Teresa. She's awesome. I don't know what she's laughing at, but I'm sure I said something crazy. Dawn, she's in the comments. Everyone doesn't like me now because I said no. And guess what? I hope you've got peace, honey. Because, someone said to me the other day, Brenda, I can't be moved by my haters. I don't want to be out there in social media because my haters are going to come for me. I said, I'm out on social media all the time. And see, I got something for my haters. It's called a block button. I blocked 3 people in the chat today because they was talking about foolishness. And I just block. I don't know who they are. But if you ain't got nothing positive, you ain't moving it forward, you're not showing love, respect, empowerment, then baby girl, block. You don't need to be in my world. If me and some of my family members don't get along because they have poor text etiquette. They text you stuff that should be a phone call. And I'm like, okay, I got something for that. Y'all can only call my 800 number because you can't text my 800 number. You can text my 800 number all day long, but you ain't going to get no response. And you're not going to mess up my day. So sometimes you have to tell people no, and people will either rise or vacate. Either way, I'm good because I've got one man to please. And so Teresa's over here cracking up about the block bottom. Yes, I am the block queen. I will block you. I don't have haters in my world. Why? If I do, I just don't pay attention to them because I block, delete, and keep it moving because I'm only flowing with people who are going up. I'm not flowing with people who are naysayers and haters and don't have no respect and no boundaries. I'm not. Hey, Alberto. Oh, I meant to put Alberto in there. I didn't see Don's. Hey, Alberto, I'm glad you're liking it. Don, my mom used to use me for 17 years and I finally got her out of my home. Hey, sometimes that's what's necessary. But this is the thing, Don. I really want to talk to you specifically, Don. Don, do not live in your past. Don't keep rehearsing all of that stuff because every time you rehearse a trauma, you are re-embedding it deeper and deeper into your psyche. Get with someone who can help you shift your perspective and help you focus not on the pain of your past, but on the prospect of your future and move you forward because your subconscious mind dictates 95% of your behavior. And if you stay so focused on the past will then recreate your future to look just like the past. Men do this all the time. Women do this all the time. You go through a bad breakup, and in your bad breakup, you now have rehearsed. And so every single person that, like I had one gentleman I was dating, we were talking about, briefly talking about marriage, not seriously, but he would bring it up from time to time. And then one day I told him, I said, I don't believe in divorce at all. I don't believe in divorce. If I mess around and make the wrong decision on who I marry, then guess what? I'm just going to have to suffer through it. I'm just going to have to pray my way through it. And that may be why I've been so very, very selective on the men that I will commit to that level with. Right. And so, or the man that I would commit to that level with. And this is the thing. When I said that to him, he said, yeah, my ex-wife said that she didn't believe in divorce neither, and she filed for divorce. Well, I'm not your ex-wife. And that just let me know right there that he was very unhealed in that area, and that he needed to go get some healing so I don't have to pay the price for what his ex-wife did. And so when we so focus on the past will literally recreate itself in our future if we don't learn to cut bait with the past. The past is not supposed to be a novel that you're constantly reading. The past is a place where you learn the lesson, and you turn the page. Learn the lesson from your past and then turn the page so you can move into your future fresh and new. The life I'm living today, my past did not say that this was my life. You are looking at a woman who has been in a straitjacket 3 times for suicide attempts. You are looking at a woman and this is prior to the age of 26. I'm 53 years old now. That's the first half of my life. I used to sell drugs. I used to use drugs. I was a manipulator. I was a conniver. I used to tell people I danced with the devil. I had zero conscience. Zero conscience. And if I keep rehashing the stories of my past, then guess what? It will recreate itself again in my future. But because I cut bait with that, I learned the lessons. I got in alignment with the Holy Spirit. My son was raised in a 2-parent household. Was raised in a single parent household as if it was a 2-parent household. My son went to a private school for 12 straight years. I sent my son to Greater Atlanta Christian School and I was only making $40,000 a year. Anybody who lives in the South know Greater Atlanta Christian School is not for the struggling. Their tuition every year for a first grader is the tuition of some colleges. 12 years of financial miracles. 12. That's why when it comes to finances, my account may go all the way to zero, but I bounce back because I know that God is financially able to take care of every vision he has given me. He will provide me the provision. You are looking at a woman whose son did not entertain alcohol or drugs at all. And he's 26 years old. He didn't start drinking. I remember the first time I brought wine in the house, he had a whole conniption fit. Then he asked me, why do you guys drink beer? Beer smells like warm urine. I'm like, how you know what warm urine smells like? He's like, Ma, I'm just saying it don't smell good. He's not into drugs. He's not into alcohol. Because I slayed the demons of my past, my son didn't have to fight them. I'm telling you guys, stop focusing on your past and stop taking every new encounter through the lens of your past because you are bleeding on people who didn't cut you. Let your past be the past. Turn the page and start a new chapter. Say no to dwelling on the past. Now, if you're in therapy, you're going to have to go and dig some of that stuff up. But you're going to dig it up for the purpose of reframing the story so that you can put it back into your subconscious. And let me tell you, one of the best books with the best tools to do that is this book right here. She is a Christian. She is a Christian brain scientist. And she puts science with Bible in a way that even if you're not religious, you're going to get it. And even if you're not into science, you're going to get it. And you can apply it. And let me tell you, it changed my life. It changed my life. This book changed my life. So I really strongly suggest you guys make a strong commitment to letting go of the past and moving forward into the future. And so this was Dawn's response to the little tidbit that I gave her. Wow. And Dawn, I want to gift you a 90-minute clarity coaching session. That session typically costs $575 because I go in. We ain't going to be fluffing around. We're going to get crystal clear on a goal, and we're going to put together a strategy to help you get it. And I am going to teach you the psychology of goal achievement, not goal setting. But you have 24 hours to book that because I'm not giving away a whole lot of those. So it's currently on sale for 40% off to the end of the month. So schedule that discovery call. In order to get the link for that, I believe you have my phone number. Text me your phone number and I'll send you the link so that you can schedule that discovery call. I mean, not discovery call, that clarity call. And that is a 90-minute one-on-one coaching session. Now, since that I have mentioned all of this, let me share a couple of things with you. If you want to work with me in a paid capacity, there's only one way you can do that. That paid capacity is through a discovery call. I give away a free discovery call to everyone. I give away a free discovery call to everyone who's interested in investing in themselves through Breakthrough for Life. Now, I have everything from workplace exit transition plans, where we actually put together a workplace exit strategy to help you leave your job so that you can live full-time on your job. I mean, on your side hustle or a full-time business. You want to reach out to me while you're still employed, not after you quit and you don't know what you're doing. While you're still employed and you're frustrated with the job, you want to schedule a free 45-minute discovery call so that I can help you put together a strategic coaching journey to help you put together a workplace exit strategy that can help you win at home and in business. Now, the next one is a free discovery call. You can do a workplace exit strategy plan, or you can do a business blast. That means that you are full-time in your own business and you need help getting to the next financial level of your business. Maybe you launched and you make, about, 80, 90,000 a year in your business and you want to get to six figures, deep six figures, then you're going to reach out to me. And that's called my Business Blast program. And I'm going to help you take your business to the next level strategically. These are all custom coaching programs. I don't believe in cookie cutter coaching where everybody goes through the same 7 steps of success. We are individuals. God loves diversity, so I embrace diversity. The next program I have is the Barrier Breaker program. And that Barrier Breaker program is no revenue generation. It's all about overcoming procrastination, deflating fear, building courage and confidence so that you can become a woman of action. Those are my 3 one-on-one programs: Workplace Exit Strategy, Business Blast, and Barrier Breaker. Now, I have the Clarity Coaching Session and I have the Spring Forward 5 coaching session program. Those are just preliminary sessions to get you started. They don't get you across finish lines, though. They get you the strategy for goal achievement, but it doesn't take you step by step and walk you through it where you're actually implementing things as we go. Because if I can help you launch a business in 5 weeks that gets 6 figures, I need to charge a whole lot more money than what I'm charging. Okay, is that fair? All righty. So now we're going to bring it all to a close. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I hope that you will subscribe to my YouTube channel at Coach BU. And if you are interested in scheduling a free discovery call, go to breakthroughforlife.com or just Google Breakthrough for Life. We show up everywhere. And schedule that free discovery call right now today. Go ahead, don't delay. And we're going to get into that free discovery call for 45 minutes. And we're going to craft a custom coaching journey that I will guarantee the end result of if you decide to invest in yourself through Breakthrough for Life. Let me tell you what, I want to help 150 women this year break free from the glass ceiling and break free from the golden handcuffs with the keys to entrepreneurship. Will you be a part of that 150? So with that being said, I am going to sign off. Thank you so very much for joining us. We will be back next Tuesday at 7:30 with a steak dinner talking about work-life balance. Have a great evening. Peace and love. Bye-bye.